Well, welcome to our election night coverage. We are your election headquarters here on WCNC Plus. Appreciate your time. I am Colin Mayfield, joined with a number of our WCNC colleagues tonight. We're going to start, though, with first things first. We know that polls are closing in about 26 minutes, except for Halifax County. By the way, we just got this in the last hour or so. The North Carolina State Board of Elections voted unanimously today to extend voting by 1 hour at Halifax County's Littleton precinct. So one precinct is going to be voting until 8:30 tonight, which could extend our time period when we see these results roll in. Not by much, but could impact things a little bit tonight. So with more than 2,600 polling sites statewide, it's not unusual for minor issues to happen tonight. So please bear with us. We have complete team coverage for you tonight. We're going to go through some of the biggest races. Let's start with the U.S. Senate. There are 6 different candidates, both on the Democratic side and the Republican side. But the 2 biggest names that we have been talking about and will continue to talk about will be Roy Cooper, who is on the Democratic side, of course, the former governor from 2017 to 2025. He is the front runner for the Democratic side. On the Republican side, we have Michael Whatley, a Trump-endorsed GOP candidate who has been obviously widely talked about, and we expect this to be a widely spent and fundraising race, possibly one of the biggest fundraising races we've ever seen in the United States history. So it's going to be a big one. And then let's go to the U.S. House of Representatives for North Carolina specifically. We've got all 14 congressional districts that are up this cycle. That will, of course, happen tonight. We'll see those names roll in. Key contests include some competitive primaries in several districts. We do have Ben Thompson on hand. We'll get to him in a couple of minutes. We'll go into much more of these races for us specifically. Let's go to the North Carolina State Legislature, because the state Senate and the state House seats, they both have things that are going to be on the ballot tonight with primary contests in many of the districts across our state. These races determine, of course, the control of the General Assembly. You've heard that supermajority thrown around. This is why they're able to do that, because of primaries and, of course, election nights like this. So the most important race that we are going to watch tonight will be the Republican primary in District 26. So the race for the GOP nominee is in Senate District 26 is Phil Berger, a long-time serving Republican, of course, the leader of the North Carolina Senate as well, and a very powerful voice for the GOP. On the other side, we have Sam Page, who's the Rockingham County Sheriff and a challenger to Berger, but that will be in the Republican Party as well. Another person who has been widely discussed also. So this race, it's hugely competitive and is going to be closely watched, as well as that U.S. Senate race as well. This is another race that our Ben Thompson will be going more into. One of the final things that we will be watching out for, a number of them, including Mecklenburg County Sheriff. And in fact, Sheriff Gary McFadden sits down with us most often, pretty much every week here in WCNC Plus, talking about a lot of the issues. And of course, he is going to be up seeking a third term. So it's a Democratic primary for sheriff. Important because there are no Republican candidates. So the primary likely deciding the sheriff for the general election as well. So we've got Gary McFadden, who's the incumbent, Rodney Collins, Antoine Nance, and Ricky Robbins. And we've heard from each of those individuals and will continue to do so throughout tonight. Let's start off with our election night coverage. As I said, we've got team coverage, and we have Julie Kay at the Whatley headquarters on Freedom Drive. And as I just said, this is one of the biggest races that we are going to see as we head into, obviously, the midterm elections here, Julie. I am expecting a lot of money to be spent and fundraised on both sides of this. Seems to be quiet tonight, but of course, Michael Whatley does have the president's endorsement, correct?
Yeah, a lot of support for Michael Whatley, and I know behind me it's looking fairly empty, just a bunch of reporters, but over on this side is where the party is really happening. I haven't seen Michael Whatley yet, but his team is here. His supporters from around the area are here. I just spoke with Abdul Ali, who leads the 12th District GOP here in Mecklenburg County and the surrounding area. So there's a lot of big names here in Mecklenburg County who are out to support Michael Whatley. Now, you mentioned fundraising power. When we talk about Michael Whatley, former RNC chair, think about all the connections he has to really make make this a huge race. At the same time, Democrats are pouring a lot of money into former Governor Roy Cooper. They see this as probably one of their best, if not their very best chance at switching a seat in Congress from Republican to Democrat. So this is going to be a hotly contested race, assuming everything goes as we expect tonight, with Michael Whatley securing that Republican nomination. President Trump's endorsement is going to be key in that. That's what we're hearing from people in the room. That's what we're hearing from people online as well. I mean, Trump has been a supporter of Whatley for a very long time, not just with this endorsement, but also prior to. He was the one who recommended Michael Whatley for that RNC chair position in 2024. And so this is a long-standing partnership between the two of them that's going to go a long way with North Carolina Republicans. The big question, is it going to go all the way over to those moderates, those independents, when we talk about the November election, the general election coming up, with he's facing Cooper, who has a lot of support here as well. We're going to be here all night long. Of course, those results are going to be coming in a little bit later because of what's going on in Halifax County. I told you I spoke with Adul Ali, 12th District GOP chair. He said he's just thankful that the problem there was with the building, not with the actual election machines, and so hopefully that gets cleared up quickly and people will be able to keep moving. But a lot of nervous energy, excited energy to get those results, Colin.
Absolutely, I would expect that, and of course, I'm sure they'll be rolling in once polls close at 7:30 in about 20 minutes. Julie, of course, thanks for holding it down at Whatley HQ. We're going to go now to Cooper headquarters, Cooper Camp, as I like to call it here. We've got Kevin Kennedy from WFMY who is going to join us here. And Kevin, as I said earlier, former governor, Mr. Cooper has had a lot of things to say over the last couple of months. Specifically, one of the things I remember is about health care, expanding, obviously, Medicare and Medicaid in the state. That's going to be a big topic of discussion, among other things here. Set the scene for us tonight there as you are at Cooper Camp.
Yeah, good evening from Raleigh. As you mentioned, Roy Cooper certainly the headliner tonight. A number of dignitaries expected to show up at this Democratic watch party. The party's should get started here maybe about 15 or 20 minutes. A number of folks are going to be here, but certainly the headliner will be former Governor Roy Cooper, who is hoping to vie for that U.S. Senate seat vacated by Thom Tillis. Now, as you mentioned, Cooper is a two-time former governor, a two-term governor, a four-term attorney general. This is a man that, if you talk from a Democratic Party standpoint, to go up against anybody when it comes to trying to secure this U.S. Senate seat, boy, Roy Cooper is certainly the man. This is simply, I guess, the closest thing we talk about North Carolina politics to a sure thing. He is 10-0 when it comes to elections. If you include primaries, he's 20-0. The man just simply doesn't lose elections here in North Carolina. Now, there are 5 other candidates vying for the Democratic, for that U.S. Senate seat. However, certainly Roy Cooper expected to win this fairly comfortably and then just kind of move forward from there. And then really it's all going to come down to November and the main election. That's where they hope to actually kind of flip that seat. We were talking about that just a little bit ago. They really want to try to flip that seat. Right now, the Republicans dominate the Senate 53 to 45, and there are 2 independents. They want to get at least flip 4. Certainly, Cooper would have a good opportunity to be one of those flips here in North Carolina. We'll be here all night. Roy Cooper expected to actually join us at some point around 9:30 or something like that. We'll go ahead and try to bring that to you live when he does. For now, though, we're live in Raleigh. Kevin Kennedy, WCNC News.